Value education is by which people give values to others. It can be an activity that can take place in any organization during which people are assisted by others, who may be older, in a position of authority or are more experienced, to make explicit those values underlying their own behavior, to assess the effectiveness of these values and associated behavior for their own and others' long-term well-being, and to reflect on and acquire other values and behavior which they recognize as being more effective for long-term well-being of self and others. There is a difference between literacy and education. Values education can take place at home, as well as in schools, colleges, universities, jails and voluntary youth organizations. There are two main approaches to values education. Some see it as inculcating or transmitting a set of values which often come from societal or religious rules or cultural ethics, while others see it as a type of Socratic dialogue where people are gradually brought to their own realization of what is good behaviors for themselves and their community. Definitions. There has been very little reliable research on the results of values education classes, but there are some encouraging preliminary results. One definition refers to it as the process that gives young people an initiation into values, giving knowledge of the rules needed to function in this mode of relating to other people, and to seek the development in the student a grasp of certain underlying principles, together with the ability to apply these rules intelligently, and to have the settled disposition to do so. Some researchers use the concept values education as an umbrella of concepts that includes moral education and citizenship education, themes that values education can address to varying degrees of character, moral development, religious education, spiritual development, citizenship education, personal development, social development and cultural development. There is a further distinction between explicit values education and implicit values education, where explicit values education is associated with those different pedagogies, methods or programs that teachers or educators use in order to create learning experiences for students when it comes to value questions. Another definition of value education is learning about self and wisdom of life in a self-exploratory, systematic and scientific way through formal education. Commonality in many educations. Moral education. Morals are socio-legal religious norms supposed to help people behave responsibly. However, not all morals lead to responsible behavior. Values education can show which morals are bad morals and which are good. The change in behavior comes from confusing questions about right and wrong. American psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg, who specialized in research on moral education and reasoning, and was best known for his theory of stages of moral development, believed children needed to be in an environment that allowed for open and public discussion of day-to-day conflicts and problems to develop their moral reasoning ability. Teacher education Cross has made a start at documenting some teacher training attempts. Multinational school-based values education schemes. Living Values Education Program. This project of worldwide proportions, inspired by the new religious movement called the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University, incorporates 12 values, and has formed the basis of the KISS whole school ethos approach in schools such as West Kidlington Primary School, Kidlington, whose headmaster Neil Hawkes and values education coordinators Linda Heppenstall use the work in other programs to help them form a values-based school. The LVEP website lists 54 countries where values education projects are undertaken. Human Values Foundation. The Human Values Foundation was established in 1995 to make available worldwide a comprehensive values-themed program for children from 4 to 12 years entitled Education in Human Values. Its fully resourced lesson plans utilize familiar teaching techniques of discussion, storytelling, quotations, group singing, activities to reinforce learning, and times of quiet reflection. Following the success of EHV, a second program was published, Social and Emotional Education. primarily for ages 12 to 14 plus, but it has also proved constructive for older children identified as likely to benefit from help getting their lives back on track. The programs enable children and young people to explore and put into practice a wide spectrum of values with the potential to enrich their lives. Through the experiential learning, over time participants develop a well-considered personal morality, all the while gaining invaluable emotional and social skills to help them lead happy, fulfilled, successful lives. Character education. Character education is an umbrella term generally used to describe the teaching of children in a manner that will help them develop as personal and social beings. However, this definition requires research to explain what is meant by personal and social being. Concepts that fall under this term include social and emotional learning, moral reasoning, cognitive development, life skills education, health education, violence prevention, critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and conflict resolution and mediation. Licona mentions 11 principles of successful character education. It seems to have been applied in the UK and the United States. Family Values Scheme. The Family Values Scheme was created in 2009 by Gil Ellis and Nicola S. Morgan to help engage families, including the hard-to-reach, using values. The Family Values Scheme is based around a set of 22 values designed to encourage families to participate in a series of fun tasks and challenges, which they plan and carry out together within the flexibility of their own home or educational setting. The Family Values Scheme is designed to enhance the effectiveness of key relationships between and among family members. Good, caring relationships area. Key ingredient within the family unit as they encompass such skills as the ability to listen, communicate, recognize and respond to the needs and feelings of others, as well as helping to understand children's behavior. While both mental and physical development is needed for a student's growth, Jeevan Vgn adds a third pillar, that of emotional intelligence and morality, to education in schools and colleges. A combination of theory and practice, Jeevan Vgn draws on the findings of various life sciences as well as nutritional sciences. Our parasympathetic nervous system and endocrinal system are known to be the drivers of our emotions and our behavior. These biological centers can be influenced science of living through a system of yogic exercises, breathing exercises, medication and contemplation. Science of living's source of inspiration is Jainacharya Ganadipati Sri Tulsi. His thoughts were further developed and expanded by Acharya Sri Mahapragya. Currently Muni Sri Kishan Lalji, under the leadership of Acharya Sri Mahashraman, is the principal of Soul. Examples of values education from around the world. Taylor gives a thorough overview of values education in 26 European countries. Australia. The Australian government currently funds values education in its schools, with its own publications and funding of school forums on values education at all levels of education. It also helps in becoming a better person. A conference on moral education and Australian values was held in 2007 at Monash University, India. The Indian government currently promotes values education in its schools. The Department of Human Resource has taken strong steps to introduce values among schools and teachers' training centers. Also India, the land of introducing values. In India, from the leadership of B. Shaji Kumar, New Golden Education Trust, values-based education has progressing throughout the country among schools from 1st standard to 12 STD class. Japan. Promotion of moral education by a large number of teachers in Japanese primary and junior high schools was reported in 1988 to be cautious because of fears of relapsing into pre-war style moral education, the subject remaining a controversial matter. Singapore. Teacher training institutions in Singapore all have curricula for learning to teach civics and moral education programs, but students do not take these as seriously as they should due to lack of assessment. The reason has been said to be the lack of innovative teaching approaches such as the discourse pedagogy. Sweden values education as a part of Swedish schools, whereas the formal curricula is about educating students to be competent democratic citizens by practicing student participation. Qualitative studies have shown that in everyday school life, values education and school democracy often appear to be reduced to traditional disciplining with high focus on rules and regulations. This in turn evokes some critiques among students. Most research on values education in Sweden is done by qualitative methods, especially ethnographic or field studies, as well as focus group and interview studies. Some studies have been conducted by survey and other quantitative methods. In addition, theoretical work with roots in Dewey and Habermas has been done on deliberative democracy and deliberative conversations in schools. In Thailand, values have traditionally been taught within the context of Buddhist religious education. Since 1982, there has been a revival of applied values as an extracurricular activity suitable for Buddhist, Muslim and Christian students alike to prepare Thai students for the effects of globalization. United Kingdom. Since 1988, the British government, although not recognizing or calling it values education, has promoted and inspected values in the guise of spiritual, moral, social and cultural development, leaving the initiative to individual schools to decide how values education standards should be met. It is not clear whether there are standards of values education. It should be noted that the government and state school systems have never called it values education. Values education courses in Britain may be implemented in the form of government-supported campaigns such as social and emotional aspects of learning, but are more often provided by local experts in the form of LVEP.